Hello friends, today we are going to discuss the first evidence for evolution, that is evidences from morphology and comparative anatomy. Under this we are going to discuss about the homologous organs and homology. What is homology? It is they have the same embryonic origin and basic structure, but they differ in their functions, or they might be similar in functions also. So this relationship between the structures of different groups of organism, it is called as homology or divergent evolution. It indicates common ancestry, so they are diversifying. So that is the important thing. So homology implies they have a similar embryonic origin but different function. So the examples for this are the forelimbs of vertebrate, which we'll discuss later. There are also types of homology. The different types of homology are homology existing between the different species is called as phylogenetic homology. Example is the pentadactyl limbs of all the breathing vertebrates. So the phylogenetic homology is nothing but the homology existing between different species. It is termed as phylogenetic homology. The second type is sexual homology. So the homology that exists between the sexes of the same species, it is called as sexual homology. Example, the testes of man and ovaries of women, they have a common embryonic origin, but they have different function. The testis produces sperms and the ovary produces the ovum. Then the penis of man and clitoris of woman, they have the same origin, embryonic origin, but they have different role. So this is an example for homology. So the second type of homology is the sexual homology. The third type is called as serial homology. In this case, the homology exists between the organs of same individuals occupying different levels of the body. Like in human beings, the forelimbs we are utilizing it as hands, and the hind limbs we are utilizing it as the leg. So here you can see a common structure, like the forelimbs of man, the upper arm, you can call it as having a large bone called as humerus, the forelimb I am talking about. Then there is an elbow. So they have two bones in the forearm called as radius and ulna, and there is in the wrist region there are carpals, and within the hand we have the metacarpals. Metacarpals leads to phalanges which are found in the finger. So the hand is comprised of metacarpal and phalanges. So the fingers are called as digits. In hand we call it as fingers. In case of leg we call it as toes. Now if you consider in case of toes, the thigh is consisting of the largest bone in man is femur bone or thigh bone. Then it leads to kneecap. Then within the shank region we find tibia and fibula. Then in the foot region we have the tarsals, which leads to the metatarsals. Then the digits of our leg or foot, we call it as toes. So they have phalanges. So there is homology of serial homology we can see here. That is one example. But now when we take up the example of the forelimbs of vertebrates, we can see that all of them are having the humerus, the radius and ulna, the carpals, metacarpals, phalanges are there, but they, even though they are embryonic origin is same, but they have different role. In forelimbs of man it is used for holding tools and making tools. In case of bat it is used for as a flight structure, so they are used for flying. The only flying mammal is the bat. And in case of whale, the forelimbs are modified as the fin like region for paddling purpose. And in case of the horse, The forelimb is meant for the galloping purpose. But all of them are having the same embryonic origin and structures are the same. You can see the uh, humerus, the radius and ulna, and also we can notice the uh, carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. So these are the vertebrates of forelimbs of vertebrates which are similar in embryonic origin, but they are different in their function. In human beings, it is for holding or grasping things. In bats, it is for flight. In case of whale, it helps in uh, the swimming purpose. And in case of horse, it helps in galloping. So all these are the same, even though they are having same embryonic origin, their structures are different. So we call it as phylogenetic homology. So this is an example in case of animals. In case of plants, we have the homologous structures, wherein in bougainvillea we can notice the thorn, and in case of cucurbita we notice the tendril. Both of them are formed from the axillary buds. So we have to remember this is again an homology. Thorn is meant for avoiding the grazers, and tendril is meant for mechanical support. So even though they are having the same embryonic origin, their functions are different. So the example for homologous structures in plants is thorns of bougainvillea and cucurbita tendril. Now this shows the marsupial radiation. Before that, there are some more examples for homology in plants. All the plant leaves are considered to be homologous. They are similar in embryonic origin but might vary in their function. The different parts of flowers, that is sepals, petals, stamens, and carpels, they are all examples of homologous structures. They are all similar in origin, embryonic origin, but they have different role. The leaves modified as thorns in bougainvillea and tendrils in cucurbita. They are axillary in positions, the buds, but they are having different roles. The phyllodes or phylloclade of opuntia, ruscus, and cladode of asparagus, all of them have the same embryonic origin, but they are modified to perform the function of photosynthesis. The tendrils of pea plant, Pisum sativum, are homologous to the entire leaves, whereas in smilax and clematis, the stipules and petioles are homologous respectively. So these are certain things that we have to remember as examples for homology in plants, apart from the textbook prescribed thorns in bougainvillea and tendril in cucurbita. So the next aspect that we'll be studying about is adaptive radiation, which is also an example for homology or divergent evolution. So adaptive radiation, it is referring to the development of different functional structures from a common ancestral form. So all these marsupials might have had a common ancestor and they have developed into different forms like sugar glider, Tasmanian wolf, marsupial, mole, tiger cat, koala, banded anteater, marsupial rat, kangaroo, wombat, and bandicoot. They all might have had a common ancestor, but they have diverged to form different types of or animals or species with various different functions as per their environmental conditions. So they have adapted to different environment and their bodies have also adapted to those conditions prevailing in the habitat. So there is also an example for adaptive radiation. The common one which has been given even in our textbook is the Darwin's finches. So in the Galapagos Islands, Darwin had observed the finches had different types of beaks, but they might have all had a common ancestral form which had a seed-eating habit. Later on, these beaks they evolved or modified according to their feeding habit. So some of them became insectivore and others. The Australian marsupials and the limbs of mammals are also a good example for adaptive radiation. Thank you.